Burnout isn't just a feeling of being tired. It is a silent epidemic crippling our most capable leaders. It is the unseen force that dismantles careers, shutters innovative companies, leaves a trail of exhaustion in its wake. You have felt its shadow creeping in. The long days bleed into sleepless nights. The passion that once fueled your ambition now feels like a distant memory, replaced by a relentless pressure to simply keep going. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a symptom of a broken system. Welcome to Lead North, where we bring you the sharpest leadership thinking from around the world, filtered through the perfect lens of clarity, purpose, and performance. I'm Eric, and if you're new here, every single week, I give you a practical leadership insight you can use that same week. Let's get into it. The traditional playbook for success: work harder, sleep less, push through the pain, is fundamentally flawed. It is a recipe for catastrophic failure, not just for you, but for everyone who depends on your leadership. The statistics are alarming. A recent Deloitte survey found that a staggering 70% of C-suite executives are seriously considering quitting for a role that better supports their well-being. Think about that. The very people at the helm are looking for an escape route. This isn't just personal dissatisfaction, it's a strategic crisis. When leaders burn out, innovation stagnates. Teams become disengaged. The organizational structure weakens from the top down. The cost shows up as lost productivity, high turnover, and erosion of the vision that drives progress. We are losing our best and brightest to an enemy we have been taught to ignore. We've been sold a lie. The myth of the tireless, invincible leader is just that, a myth. It's a dangerous narrative that glorifies self-sacrifice to the point of self-destruction. We celebrate the CEO who answers emails at 3 a.m. and works through every vacation. Yet science tells us a different story. Neuroscience and psychology reveal this approach is not only unsustainable, it's counterproductive. The brain under chronic stress cannot innovate. It cannot make sound strategic decisions. It loses its capacity for empathy and connection. Pushing past your limits doesn't make you a hero, it makes you a liability. The good news: burnout is not inevitable. It can be solved with the right strategy. I will not offer motivational platitudes or empty inspiration. Instead, you'll get a blueprint, a science-backed system of 5 actionable habits. These are principles distilled from decades of research in performance psychology, neuroscience, organizational behavior. We'll explore routines of top CEOs, the wisdom of the Stoics, and practical frameworks from CEO coaches. Prepare to unlearn hustle culture and embrace a more powerful way to lead. The first habit is a fundamental shift in perspective. Stop managing your time. Start managing your energy. This separates burnt-out leaders from those who sustain peak performance over decades. We've been conditioned to treat the day as a 24-hour block to fill. That's a factory worker model, outdated for modern leaders. Effectiveness isn't hours logged, it's value produced. And that value depends on the quality of your energy. The most successful leaders understand this. Jeff Bezos, Satya Nadella. They're strategic about personal energy reserves. This is grounded in hard neuroscience. Your brain's capacity for high-level thought, strategy, creativity, complex problem-solving is finite. That cognitive fuel is governed by the prefrontal cortex. Every decision you make, every email you answer, every problem you tackle, drains it. Willpower is a neurological battery that depletes through the day. Pushing an empty battery leads to poor decisions and burnout. First step: acknowledge this biological reality. Best leaders build schedules around natural energy cycles, circadian rhythms. Peak, analytical energy in the morning. Dip, early afternoon slump. Second, smaller peak, later creative or collaborative window. Elite performers leverage these rhythms. Schedule deep, high-stakes work in morning peaks. Move administrative tasks, routine meetings, less demanding work into troughs. It's not working less. It's aligning tasks with brain capacity. Start with an energy audit. For 1 week, rate your energy 1 to 10 every hour. A pattern will emerge, your ultradian and circadian rhythms. Identify your high-performance windows and protect them. These are your energy blocks, non-negotiable. Transform your calendar from reactive to proactive. Design your day for maximum impact and minimum drain. This is the foundation of sustainable leadership. Managing your energy is not just about scheduling your work, it's also about scheduling your rest. The relentless pursuit of productivity has demonized rest. Science says the opposite. Rest is part of the work. Studies on elite performers, violinists, athletes, conducted by psychologist Anders Ericsson, showed the best rest better. Intense, focused bursts of effort, followed by deliberate recovery. Neurological and physiological repair, consolidation of learning, replenishment of energy stores. The most fundamental form of strategic rest is sleep. For leaders, sleep is a core competency. Matthew Walker shows lack of sleep devastates cognition. One night of insufficient sleep impairs creativity, problem-solving, emotional intelligence, memory. Leaders who brag about 4 hours of sleep are advertising cognitive impairment. CEOs like Arianna Huffington advocate for sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours. It's a strategic imperative. Effective leaders also integrate rest into the workday. Micro breaks, naps, brief diversions boost sustained focus. University of Illinois research. Pomodoro, 25 minutes focus, 5-minute break. Even a 60-second break to stand up, stretch, or look out a window can reset your focus. Short naps, 20-30 minutes, boost alertness without grogginess. NASA. A 26-minute nap improved pilot performance 34% and alertness 54%. Schedule rest with the same intentionality as a board meeting, or structure work into 90-minute ultradian blocks followed by a 10-15-minute disconnect. This isn't about escaping work. It's about creating the biological conditions for excellence when you work. Embrace strategic rest. Move from linear grind to a cyclical rhythm of peak performance and recovery, ensuring you have the energy to lead effectively day after day. Habit 2. The power of priority ruthlessness. The second habit of leaders who avoid burnout is priority ruthlessness. This is the discipline of relentlessly focusing on what truly matters and systematically eliminating everything else. Modern leadership is a minefield of distractions. You are bombarded with endless requests, notifications, opportunities, all masquerading as urgent and important. The default response is to try to do it all, to be everything to everyone. This is a direct path to exhaustion and mediocrity. Burnout is often not the result of doing too much work, but of doing too much of the wrong work. Priority ruthlessness is the antidote. It is a strategic framework for allocating your finite cognitive and energetic resources to the few things that will generate the greatest results. This principle is rooted in the science of decision fatigue. Every single decision you make, no matter how small, what to wear, what to eat for lunch, which email to answer first, taps into that same limited reserve of mental energy. When you exhaust this reserve on trivial choices, you have less capacity available for the big strategic decisions that define your leadership. This is decision fatigue. Ancient philosophers, particularly the Stoics like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, understood this intuitively. They practiced a form of essentialism, constantly asking themselves, is this essential? The most effective leaders today are modern Stoics in this regard. They build systems to minimize the number of decisions they have to make. Blue suits, gray suits, plain gray t-shirt. These are deliberate strategies to eliminate trivial choices and conserve mental bandwidth for what matters. To begin practicing priority ruthlessness, you must first get brutally honest about where your focus is currently going. The rule of 3 is a powerful starting point. At the beginning of each day or week, identify the 3 most important outcomes you need to achieve. Not a to-do list of 20 items, but 3 critical results that will move the needle. Write them down. These 3 things become your true north. Every other request, meeting, task that comes your way must be evaluated against these priorities. If something doesn't directly contribute to one of your 3 core objectives, your default answer should be, no, not now, not me. This simple rule forces clarity and provides a powerful filter against the noise. Priority. Ruthlessness is not just about saying no, it's about proactively designing your environment to make focus the path of least resistance. This is the concept of choice architecture. You deliberately structure your calendar. You deliberately structure your communication. You deliberately structure your team's workflow. The most powerful tool for this is calendar ownership. Most leaders allow their calendars to become a public space where anyone can drop a meeting. Thriving leaders treat their calendar as a fortress. They are the sole gatekeepers of their time and attention, blocking out large, contiguous chunks of time for deep work on their rule of 3 priorities before any other meetings are allowed. A key tactic for owning your calendar is aggressive delegation. As a leader, your job is not to have all the answers or do all the work. Your job is to build a team that can. Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, famously said, "There is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all." The second most useless thing is leaders doing work others could do. Ruthless delegation requires deep trust in your team and a willingness to let go of control. Every task that lands on your plate should be met with the question, "Am I the only person who can do this?" If the answer is no, delegate it immediately. Another powerful choice architecture strategy: establish clear rules of engagement for communication. Unstructured communication, email, and instant messaging drives reactive, low-impact work. Implement simple rules like no meeting Wednesdays to guarantee 1 full day for focused work. Set clear expectations. You will only check email at 10 a.m. Set clear expectations. You will only check email at 1 p.m. Set clear expectations. You will only check email at 4 p.m. This trains your organization to be more thoughtful and protects uninterrupted focus. Satya Nadella encourages teams to ask, "Is this meeting truly necessary?" Ultimately, priority ruthlessness is a mindset you must cultivate. It's the courage to disappoint people in the short term to achieve massive results in the long term. Choose to be respected for your impact rather than liked for your availability. Start by reviewing your commitments for the next week. Which meetings can be canceled? Which meetings can be shortened? Which meetings can be delegated? Which projects are not aligned with your top 3 priorities? Make one ruthless cut today. Block out a 2-hour deep work session tomorrow morning and protect it at all costs. This is the first step toward architecting a more productive, sustainable, and rewarding work life. Habit 3. The power of active recovery rituals. The third habit of leaders who conquer burnout is the implementation of recovery rituals. This goes far beyond passive rest. This is about active recovery, deliberate, structured practices designed to accelerate your body and mind back to baseline after high stress. Think of it like a professional athlete's post-game routine. They don't just collapse on the couch. They use specific recovery protocols. Ice baths, stretching, massage. As a leader, your game is a day of high-stakes decisions, constant pressure, cognitive exertion. Without a post-game ritual, stress from one day bleeds into the next and accumulates. The science is clear. Stress floods your body with hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Fight or flight is useful short-term, toxic when sustained. Active recovery activates the parasympathetic, the rest and digest system. That lowers heart rate, reduces blood pressure, and signals threat has passed. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, a simple walk in nature. These trigger the physiological shift and help clear stress chemicals, preventing chronic inflammation. Top CEO coaches, like Marshall Goldsmith, emphasize a structured end-of-day debrief. It's not ruminating, it's closing mental loops. Without closure, your brain churns on work at night, disrupting sleep and recovery. The ritual can be as simple as 10 minutes answering a few questions. What did I accomplish today? What did I learn? Is there anyone I need to thank or apologize to? This provides a psychological full stop, letting your mind disengage and rest. Knowing the day's events are processed and put in their place. Recovery rituals are not optional luxury, they're mandatory for high performance. They bridge work and personal life, keeping stress from poisoning home. A clear boundary, an airlock that decompresses the day before you re-enter home. By winding down systematically, you protect evenings, sleep, and relationships. It's not about more time, it's about making time away truly restorative so you return charged and ready to lead. Creating your recovery ritual is a personal process, but it must be intentional and consistent to be effective. The goal is to find a short series of actions that signal to your brain and body that the workday is officially over. A powerful starting point is a shutdown walk. At the end of your workday, before you transition to your evening, take a 15 to 20-minute walk without your phone. This simple act of physical movement helps to metabolize stress hormones, while the change in environment provides a powerful mental context shift. It physically separates your work self from your home self. During this walk, you can practice your debrief, reflect on the day, or simply focus on your surroundings, allowing your mind to naturally unwind and detach from the pressures of work. Another scientifically validated tool for your ritual is structured breathwork. You don't need a fancy meditation cushion or an hour of silence. A simple technique like box breathing, used by Navy SEALs to stay calm under extreme pressure, can be profoundly effective. You simply inhale for a count of 4, hold your breath for 4, exhale for 4, and hold the exhale for 4. Repeating this cycle for just 3 to 5 minutes can dramatically lower your cortisol levels and activate your parasympathetic nervous system. This is a direct biological hack to manage your stress state. You can do it in your car before you walk in the front door, or at your desk as the very last thing you do before you pack up for the day. Journaling is another cornerstone of an effective recovery ritual. As we've discussed, writing down your thoughts, accomplishments, and lessons learned helps to provide cognitive closure. But it can also be a powerful tool for gratitude and perspective. Top performance coaches often recommend a 3 good things exercise, where you write down 3 specific things that went well during the day and your role in making them happen. This practice, validated by positive psychology research, actively retrains your brain to scan for positives instead of dwelling on threats and frustrations. It counteracts the natural negativity bias that is amplified by stress, helping to reframe your mindset and build resilience over time. Finally, consider incorporating a digital sunset into your ritual. This means setting a hard cutoff time for all work-related screens, laptops, tablets, and phones. The blue light emitted from these devices suppresses the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep, directly impacting your ability to get the restorative rest you need. More importantly, staying tethered to your inbox keeps your brain in a state of semi-alertness, preventing you from ever fully disengaging. Your recovery ritual should mark the start of this digital sunset. By putting your devices away, you are sending the clearest possible signal to yourself and others that your workday is done and your recovery has begun. This single act of discipline can reclaim your evenings and dramatically reduce your burnout risk. Let's briefly revisit the 5 pillars that form the foundation of this burnout-proof system. Each habit is a critical component, and together they create a powerful synergy that protects and enhances your leadership capacity. The first, energy management, is the radical shift from tracking hours to strategically deploying your brain's peak energy. It means aligning your most important work with your natural circadian rhythms and embracing strategic rest. understanding that rest is not the opposite of work, but a vital part of it. This habit ensures that when you are working at your absolute best, producing high-quality output with less strain. The second pillar is priority ruthlessness. This is the disciplined art of focusing your finite mental energy on the vital few tasks that generate the greatest impact. By using frameworks like the Rule of Three and architecting your choices to minimize decision fatigue, you can serve your most precious cognitive resources for high-stakes strategic thinking. This habit is about courageously saying no to the trivial many so you can deliver massive results on the critical few. Third, we have recovery rituals. These are the structured, active protocols you use to decompress and flush stress from your system at the end of each day. Through practices like a shutdown walk, breath work, journaling, you create a psychological airlock between your work life and your personal life. This intentional transition activates your body's rest and digest system, preventing the chronic accumulation of stress that is the hallmark of burnout. This pillar ensures that the pressures of one day do not bleed into the next, allowing for true restoration and a fresh start each morning. The final two pillars, boundaries and purposeful growth. Boundaries, including micro-fasts from work, are the fortress walls you build to protect your time for cognitive recovery and deep thinking. They are the rules of engagement that allow you to disconnect and access your most creative, strategic mind. And finally, anchoring everything is a connection to meaning and purposeful growth. This is your why. It is the resilient core that provides motivation through adversity and transforms your work from a series of tasks into a meaningful mission, making the entire system sustainable for the long haul. This entire system may seem like a lot to implement at once. That is not the objective. The goal is not to achieve perfection overnight, but to begin the process of change today. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Therefore, my command to you is this: do not try to adopt all 5 habits tomorrow. Instead, choose one. Choose the one that resonates most deeply with you right now. Choose the one that addresses your biggest pain point. Is it the feeling of constant exhaustion? Start with energy management. Is it the feeling of being pulled in a million directions? Start with priority ruthlessness. Is it the inability to switch off at night? Start with recovery rituals. Once you have chosen your starting habit, your next command is to define one small, concrete action you will take within the next 24 hours. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until Monday. Do not wait until your next project is finished. The time for action is now. If you chose recovery rituals, schedule and take a 15-minute shutdown walk at the end of your workday today. If you chose boundaries, turn off your work email notifications on your phone tonight at 8 p.m. and leave them off. If you chose priority ruthlessness, identify your top 3 priorities for tomorrow morning before you go to bed. Make it specific, make it small, and make it happen. This is not a suggestion, it is a directive. The forces driving you toward burnout are powerful and relentless. They will not yield to passive wishes or vague intentions. They can only be defeated by deliberate, decisive action. By taking one small, concrete step today, you create momentum. You prove to yourself that change is possible. You initiate a positive feedback loop where one small win gives you the confidence and energy to take the next step and the next. This single action is a declaration of intent. It is you, the leader, taking command of your own well-being and professional destiny. It is the first step away from the path of exhaustion and onto the path of sustainable power. This is my promise to you. Adopt these habits, one by one, and integrate them into your life. You will not just avoid burnout, you will unlock a new level of performance, clarity, fulfillment. You will build a career that is not only successful, but also sustainable. You will become the leader your team deserves, a leader who is focused, resilient, and fully present. A leader who doesn't just survive, but thrives. The science is clear. The path is laid out. The choice is yours. Protect your leadership. Protect your life. Start today. Which of these 5 habits do you need to implement first? Be honest with yourself. Drop it in the comments. I'll personally reply to every comment this week.